Wonderful people, this video I will truly address parents, grandparents, educators, anything through that line, physicians, neurologists, psychiatrists, whatever term it, to address the reality we are living in that needs a huge turnaround, a huge shift in consciousness in order to resurrect and assist our children. Everybody is your child, and to help the resurrection of wildlife, because wildlife rescue teams are under huge threats, and without perfect harmony and balance through wildlife ecology, the human kingdom, the animal kingdom, life starts to perish on the planet, and the huge turnaround has already happened. It's up to us to bring that education through to everybody, because it is available. If we want to do the work, if we want to bring the protection kit back on the planet, if we see that, there is huge threats to wildlife represented by poaching, wildlife, illegal trafficking is immense, especially in the Asian countries, overfishing, wildlife killing fields on the internet, killing animals alive in front of you. Is that, these games, these atrocities truly need to stop right now. If we all can take action with a little bit of education and going in the right direction, we can, stop the destruction of habitat of animals, and thus the destruction of the habitat of human life, of our children and everything that is coming in. Because the primary threat of wildlife is actually, which we know, global warming, the change in nature. And we could all have avoided that, because, we need to bring to solution. We need to avoid plastics. We need to avoid 5G. We need to avoid as much as we can from the application of our Wi-Fi system on your cell phone, computers, and so on, and turn it into crystalline lights. That is an option if engineering is not being held back. And so we will see a lot of invasive species, accidentally or intentionally, because definitely many species do not find their origin into their habitat and need to find new places that they are not, accustomed to, or that are not, innate, or, that where they should live. And so that brings imbalances in ecology. So the pollution and climate change all over the planet has huge impact on our children and on anything termed health and education, because everything needs to adapt to new conditions, and many animals are dying off just by lack of oxygen in the oceans. And think of the coral reefs that are dying off. And so fish are fishing to take an appropriate oxygen level into their system. So light pollution over here, that can easily be solved. So dim your lights, and because we are in a huge turnaround termed mass extinction, and it will happen. And those doing the work in the crystallization process from the former matrix into crystalline bodies, that needs a complete turnaround from the old carbonized cells into living light particles and waves, because we are all water bodies on a water planet. So, and turning the waters around from within needs to come from purified space in many places in the present day oceans, rivers, and lakes. And thus, when we look at pharmaceuticals affecting our children, the chemicals from the farm industry, they all affect our organism and that of any other species out there as well. So the oil, the gas platforms, all that can be put in other things because they are in a e-commissioning strategies to change over to, to change it in something that may be even worse. And that should never ever be the goal, because, when we see at the suffering and we see that the oxygenation is, getting lower and lower and less clouds can cover vegetation, can assist, animals to get, the right atmosphere in their habitat, instead of, being burned alive through the sun vibration. So there is a lot that we need to recover, look at deforestation, and that is, making animals run wild, getting depressed and stressed out because, of human intervention. So also another very important item to mention here is the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin mining that increases the carbon emissions massively on the planet. So reason why I'm in this video is truly, to take new education at heart. It is not enough to teach children and people, young people, youth in universities, etc. We're just explaining them what is happening, because I've seen over the past 10 years, I moved into schools, I did educate them, etc. But when it's not being put in a year-long project, next day they forget about it, because there's their attachment to, animal food, to the old ways, to many unhealthy beverages and all that stuff is so large. People were born with it, that we cannot catapult the old ways of bringing nutrients in the body in just one day or a week time. It needs a year project in which we can bring through light techniques that will put them all the way out of the old nutrition and get back in the new ways of bringing nutrients in the body, so they can transcend themselves in true meditational practices that are modernized. It's not like TM meditation's gonna do it, because they haven't been upgraded for the past 100 years. When we upgrade that right away and we bring through techniques that are fun to work with the new great central sun, fun to work with the new moon. What is the new moon? How can I, incorporate it? How do I work with the galaxies? How do I work with nature? How do I repair that? Children need to know that. They need to know the truth. They need to know the barbaric content about the killing fields of animals, how we take away their food, how we take away their babies, how we kill them alive, and bad farming and all that stuff. Because if truth has been told through video content and, showing them what has been done, then they wake up a lot faster, and then they can heal out, because children need a lot of attention. So I would definitely suggest parents willing to move into light body, willing to move beyond the matrix, because the light realms are landing with huge, massive techniques that, the airplane techniques and technologies and sciences may be a big laughter to the origin of living light technologies that are like billions of years ahead of our technologies. And they bring it through because it's available. And then we teach children how to heal out any mental discomfort, mental disease, psychological lack. There is so much. I haven't seen as of yet any school that could really educate and enrich children learn every day to change themselves and turn out to be another being after 1 week of class, because that's what I do. It doesn't take a year, but through a year we can bring through huge changes, and it's our children that will change their parents, not the other way around, unless parents are ready to move right away into the new tree of life, the modernized explosion of light particles, light cells, and moving that light body all the way celestial and universally into the omni beyond. And that is, of course, a huge curve in the learning zone. And that should be primary education, how to upload, the higher level nutrition to the nutrients we breathe, through the air. How do we bring that purified air through? There is much to it. How can we detect, decipher where animal or, child trafficking is going on? Placing a grid, seeing with crystal clear eyes, taking action, because people act like they're weak, like never before. Weakness and laziness is no longer accepted. And thus, yes, a lot of mass extinction will happen in order for us to be able to rebuild that new world that is living lighter and living in an embodiment that is thriving on light, in which you actually do not need so much food anymore. Today, all industries live on feeding, eating. Go downtown. What you see people eating like, they overeat all of the time. And, it's like, a buzzy thing. In the latter days, I still remember, like, I would just eat once a day, once every 2 or 3 days when I need it. Today, hardly anyone eats when they truly need it. I'm not talking about the stations where people are hungering out and, dying of starvation, or, all those places. And we could repair a lot into that if we get a lot less greedy when it comes to eating and overloading the body. If we would, instead eat through the brain and eat instead of eating through the mouth, we would have a huge change in wildlife and education, I guess. But it's the emotional attachment to that food that needs to be replaced by higher senses, higher intuitive capabilities, and bringing back the new technologies right on the planet, teaching children how to eat and why it is important. And also teach them about universes, galaxies, planets, how they function, how you can open up intergalactic communication system, telepathic waves, and because many things are brought down to the highest level of barbaric content, even in meditation. I've seen animal communicators coming up with the videos. All of a sudden, I went from vegan to eating animals again. And because animals told me that that is okay. Nothing in divine consciousness states that you can ever kill any living species to feed your life. Never kill to feed you. And of course, people, will go into different levels of discussing like that, like animals eat animals. That's another thing. You know, billions of years ago, in first creation, we were all living on light. Animals would never eat each other either. So I'm going back a large scale. And it doesn't make sense for a body living and bringing in nutrients through light doesn't need any physical nutrition. So, and that is, you know, that comes through growth. And you cannot skip meals just from one day and another. That would not be very healthy, right? But it's a passionate journey when you start out to transition the body into light, to living in crystalline light grids, to repairing the oceans with it. Because the reason why I'm here today is because the first and primary clearing comes to white crystalline Christ light, and that opens in the light body that has the entire vehicle of all 12 universes with it. And today, when we move that in an celestial universal embodiment, it can expand into 10 miles in circumference. So, and then when you hold your antenna and you move into places and you place that up there, you clear out the atrocities. And that is where we're willing to move into. So many videos I've out there explained it in detail. So if you want to move in light body, if you want to move into re-educating children and daring enough to bring re-education, if it's not opened in schools, or you know, directors and teachers reject it, which they will try worldwide, then there's other options to educate them all of the time. As you know, more and more parents, at least here in Europe, are opting for homeschooling, which I'm very happy about. And they're looking for ways, you know, the healthy ways, and juicing, teaching children how to juice, and, you know, explaining them, for example, also explaining them how to learn a light language, an English language to which the lettering and the numbers can change their consciousness, and how to do that, to which design becomes the most important thing to educate. The whole values of waking true into the repair of ecology, wildlife, and assist also wildlife rescue and institutions, and everything is really going into the crystallization and allowing the knowledge to come through while wearing multiple crystalline grids that you can plant everywhere with your vibration. And then we can change nutrition, we can change education, we can change that. Which parent or grandparent is able to place a crystalline grid for every child and every grandchild? If you're able to do that, then, I mean, I take my child in meditation in a crystalline grid every day for 20 years. And I move it up and I see him moving with it. And I place new grids with him. And I mean, it's just fun. And that's a way we can start assisting them. You need to know which crystal for each child. And then, you know, we can place one grid for many grandchildren, whatever. But then you start doing something that brings in the change. And that is fun, because with it grows your shifts in consciousness. You grow with the divine energies. You grow with your eternal vibration, and you start to question things. So also, if children have that simple question like, does an angel exist? Do they exist? Yeah, of course they exist. Can you explain it? Can you explain how to become an angel? Then that starts off with the purity of incorporating at least the first 22 ways of creation, moving into the platform of the crystallization, the reason for Christ consciousness, moving with millions and billions of crystals. And then you open up light particles, you start to change the cells, the DNA, RNA, into light particles, that is our origin, that holds our energy signatures, so to speak, and from it we move the light parts into light waves. These light waves open up light wings, and thus the term angel. Angel light creates, angel is also the term angle. It creates angles, like the number 7 is an angle when you turn it around in your brain. And so angel light opens up angle beyond angle, and they are a very high vibration. Everybody on the planet can, work upon that and become an angel. So that's the whole goal, or become somebody else in the universe, or, resurrect self in what you were before being downloaded up here. So there's many options, but children deserve the truth and how to connect with such high-level beings and truly start believing them, because their brains are so open and they need to know that there's many armies, or in the light realms they shouldn't connect with, and how to protect themselves. Because when